Direct from the web, it's Billy Masters Live. And now, please welcome your host, Billy Masters.
Are we? There we are. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Billy Masters Live. Of course, I am Billy Masters, and today is, hit it, Thursday, April 30th, because again, every day feels like Sunday when you're quarantining. And today I have, I say this every single show. Every show I say I have only had on people I like. And these are two people I like an awful lot. And I'm going to eventually have to have somebody on that I don't like. And then I'm going to have to stop saying that. I got a call yesterday asking if I don't want to say who it is because I might end up booking him. It is a him. And it is somebody who is a behind the scenes person, but somebody that everyone knows and kind of doesn't like and kind of gossips about. And I thought, oh my God, he'd be kind of fun if he would actually say something to me. And then I thought, I won't be able to say I only have people on I like, because I don't really like him. Anyway, but let me tell you a story about somebody that I really do like. And of course, that is Miss Ross. Diane, because I like to call her Diane, just because I know it annoys her. Diane. And I have been a Ross fan, a Supremes fan, probably more of a Supremes fan than a Ross fan, since I was an itty bitty little gay boy. And one of my best friends had got me a poster when I was young of the Supremes, had given me lots of unreleased things. Then I became very close with the author of Call Her Miss Ross, J. Randy Taraborelli. And one of the thrills of my life, and I really do mean thrills of my life. Now, let me see if it's here. I keep saying things are here, and then I don't know if they're here. There it is. Okay. One of the thrills of my life was going to the opening night of the Return to Love tour. It was very close to the closing night of the Return to Love tour. And so I was with Randy Taraborelli, and we are there in the front row. And the man who Diane often credits as ruining her reputation was there in the front row. And one of the most surreal things happened. She came down because you know how she likes to come out and reach out and touch somebody's hands. And she comes out and she walks right over to Randy. Now, I don't know if she was coming over out of fond remembrance. I don't know if she came over to extend an olive branch. I don't know if she came over because she's blind as a bat. But Miss Ross came over, put her hand on his cheek, and sort of cheek kissed him. Amazing. Then, at the very last concert of the Return to Love tour, I ran into my first guest. So, the last concert was in Madison Square Garden, and the press were assembled backstage, and we were brought into a freight elevator back at Madison Square Garden. And I see this guy, I kept thinking he looks familiar, extremely slim. And I'm like, I know him. Who is he? He didn't say anything to me. I didn't say anything to him. And when I got home that night, I realized that was Michael Musto. And I immediately sent him an email and went, girl, you look fabulous. I don't know what you've done, but you're like a waif. And he did. He looked unbelievable. And I will say this, for the Billy Masters of the world, for anyone else who does this, we owe a debt of gratitude to Michael Musto and the Rex Reeds and the Rona Barretts. I don't go back to Hedda and Luella. But Michael Musto was really one of my idols. And growing up in Boston, we got the Village Voice, and I would get it just to read Michael's column to see what was happening in New York, which was like a wonderland for me. And the fact that I've become friends with him and I'm having him on the show is a little surreal. So without further ado, please welcome Mr. Michael Musto. Hey, Michael.
Hey, Billy. Well, I've gone from waif to wafers, and this is now 200 pounds later.
Yeah, but no, you look great. Because you had gotten really big at one point. You look fine.
I'm happy to be alive, honestly. You
But what made you lose the weight when you lost it?
I looked in a mirror.
Oh, I mean, was it just that
I even went up to Christina Ricci once and I said, "You've lost weight. I like the fact that you were kind of a quirky ingenue who didn't care." And she said, "Well, you've lost weight too." And I was like, she just nailed me. I'm a hypocrite at this point. I don't know. I feel with all this home quarantining, I'm gaining weight again. And
yeah, me too.
that's the least of the problems with this current crisis. The main problem is I'm a social writer and there's no more social out there.
Yeah. So what do you do? You have stuff. Are you still churning out a column in this time?
I'm still writing, yeah. But if you leave the house, it's like a zombie movie. People act like, humans are the enemy. And of course, we're all masked up. We're not Mike Pence. We did get the memo.
Yes, exactly. I would say we did. What are you writing about during this time? Because it's just, are you sticking to what you typically write about, or are you really going beyond, sort of nationally? Because we're going to come out of this so different.
It's hard to write about what I used to write about. I used to write about events. There are no events. If you write about a Zoom conversation, that's pretty boring. But at first I wrote things about like celebrity reaction to the crisis. Mm-hmm. And then I wrote things about even home workouts. And then I realized when 9/11 happened, I just kept writing my column because 9/11 was substantially covered by the media. It's not like nobody was addressing it. I've always provided sort of a respite from the dark side of the world. And so I figured, let me just keep writing columns. Sometimes you have to come up with high concept columns. I just did like 20 oldest trans icons in the world. Mm-hmm. Number one was Jan Morris, who's in her 90s. She's the famous travel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I'm just coming up with concepts, pulling them out of my butt, just to keep in the game. But obviously, you can't write about get-togethers because there aren't any get-togethers.
Yeah, I realized the first column I wrote when the stay-at-home shelter-in-place order came up, the half of the column was about events that were canceled, and then the other half was about people who had become positive. And I went, what is this column all of a sudden? And I kind of did the same thing. I looked ahead and realized if I'm not normal, people are not reading me to see who died last week. They're reading me to laugh. And it becomes harder because we have to rely on our style to just make people laugh.
Well, I did write obits about people that I knew that had died of the COVID. For example, Nisham Wooden, who was the drag star Mona Foote.
Sure.
A very beloved figure in New York. And of course, Terrence McNally, the noted playwright. But yeah, other than that, it becomes a little macabre to just keep writing about it. Here's a list of celebrities with COVID. And as far as the cancellations, what could be more boring than people writing about, guess what else was canceled? Let's just do one article saying everything is canceled. Everything. Yeah, we know that there's going to not be a Burning Man, a Tony Awards. There ain't nothing happening. Thank the Lord for my movie club on Zoom. I've had a movie club for many years where we watch good, bad, old movies together.
Oh, I didn't know that. What did you watch this week?
Last night we watched Chain for Life with the Hilton sisters. I'm not talking about Paris and
not higher.
I'm talking about the original conjoined twins, Violet and Daisy, yes, who were the subject of the musical many years later. Sideshow. I'm Daisy, I'm Violet.
Oh, loved it. A great. By the way, people who are sitting home and looking for things to watch or listen to, seek out the original Broadway cast album of Sideshow because it's really an extraordinary show.
Alice Ripley, who's a Facebook friend of mine, and Emily Skinner were the original stars. A few years ago, they revised it, and it was a good production. Speaking of Diana Ross, in the 80s, yes, I had a band called Michael Musto and the Must because I worship Diane. Yes, I will.
Diane, we do it. I know.
Oh, Diane. And I was the sort of white, gay male Diana Ross, sort of like Michael Jackson. Too soon?
Well, I found this photo.
Female, I'm not sure.
I found this photo, and now you tell me about this.
Oh, yes. Well,
now what is that?
Okay. In the 80s, Diana was appearing at Radio City. She had a string of concerts there. And they had a party on the USS Intrepid, which is a docked boat on the west side. It was a gala party, the height of 80s, luxury and fabulousness. Diana was like 2 feet away from me. And I'm like, how am I going to get the nerve to go up and say hello to my idol? And she came up to me. She did a Randy Tarbarelli kind of thing. Came up and said, hi, I'm Diana Ross. And I said, I know. And we actually had a lovely chat. Talking about her new song, which was going to be Missing You, her song about Marvin Gaye.
Sure.
And it was photographed there by Ben Buchanan for Details magazine. It became the lead photo in Steven Saban's column the next issue.
And it's a great photo for you to have had.
Well, I look like I'm exploding out of my skin. My face is blowing up from excitement. I couldn't believe it.
But yeah, isn't that what you would want? I mean, that captures the moment.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? The book had come out where she was supposed to be a horrible, evil witch. She wasn't to me, maybe because I'm press.
Right.
But she isn't always a horrible witch, and I think Randy Taraborelli had liked her before he decided to write a hatchet job.
And he still loves her. I mean, he will be the first to tell you, I love her, but I had to write a book. But there, you know, it's funny. I sat down with him. He revised the book maybe 10 years ago, and he went back and revisited it. And he'd call me up and read a section and say, God, I was such an arrogant little bitch. But now I wouldn't write it that way. And I think, you know, with age comes a little bit of reflection.
Well, he should send her a huge apology.
Well,
that ain't gonna happen.
Well, I think, you know, it was the 1-2 punch of his book and Mary's book just within the year that was it.
Well, last year, Diana gave a concert at a New York hotel in Times Square, The Edition, and a drag queen, drunken old drag queen named Princess Diana, who always does Diana, was in the front poking Diana. And
I remember there's a video of
yeah, and she was dragged out by security. And Diana even took the high road of that and said it was a loving moment. It was a reach out and touch moment. Diana's all about love at this point. She really is just pure love. She's become her songs.
I remember maybe, I don't know, 5-8 years ago, I think it was a Golden Globes. And all of a sudden she wandered in Hollywood. A lot of people, if they're at an award show, they'll show up at a party just to walk the press line and then walk right out. And she did that. It was a hit and run. And I saw her walking out and I said, okay, I've got to go in because when are you going to have the chance? And I went over to her in her face and said, excuse me, Diane, I love you. Could I take a photo with you? And they said, okay. I looked her in the eyes. I spoke without being spoken to first. And I called her Diane. And
you didn't say Miss Ross. You did not.
You know, went right. And I went right for Diane.
You're brave.
You
are a brave homosexual.
And so she looked up and went, sure. And there we are. Now she is clutching her purse to her bosom because I think she might have thought I was after the clutch. But
yeah,
but I had a lovely experience with her too.
And one thing I love about Diane is even now, I bet on Zoom she's probably wearing sequins and glitter, whereas Meryl Streep is in a robe with minimal makeup. I do love
the hair everywhere.
Yeah, I love some of the changing values because of this crisis are interesting, like the way celebrities have dropped all vanity. Madonna kind of laying in a bathtub with rose petals, and it's just this is me. But I do miss the artifice, the glamour, and the production values. I can't wait for that to come back.
Yeah, it's interesting with all of this starting. When I was kind of goaded into starting this show, and every once in a while, now see, I should put up the banner for them. Every once in a while, I should say, I don't know. Yes. So the Actors Fund and Broadway Cares are charities of choice. And it was Seth Rudetsky and his husband who are doing 2 shows a day. God help me if I had to do 2 a day. I'm exhausted doing 2 a week. But Seth said, you really, if you're just sitting home with nothing to do, you owe it to the fans to give them content, to keep them entertained. And so I figured it out as I went along, and you want everything perfect. And then you look at what's coming out and say, nobody's perfect. Just get it out there.
Well, half the people on Facebook doing live streaming are doing it to entertain, to keep doing what they're doing. And
that's what we do.
But you know what the other motivation is? They're going crazy without an audience. These people are used to playing to, even if it's just 10 people and they're all guest lists, they're used to having some affiliation. So this is their way of saying, hey, look at me, folks. And that's fine. This is what we do. We're all ego whores.
Well, that's their job. And, you know, it's funny when I call people and ask them to be on the show and they say, well, let me get back to you. And I go, what else are you doing?
Well, that's why everyone's getting these amazing guests. Like you call Greta Garbo. She's like, yes, I'm available. You know, everyone is bored. And my goal is really to become, really to look like Bernadette Peters. Because to me, she looks like a porcelain bowl.
Always.
You could serve salad off of her. Flawless. She's amazing. And I want to be
ageless. She can be a vampire.
I want to be Patti LuPone. And have a career like that and have opinions like that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because they all have stuck to their wheelhouse. And obviously, you saw the Sondheim concert. What did you think?
I kind of skimmed through it after the fact. I didn't have to get through the 1 hour delay. I totally get it. There are technical glitches nowadays. I wasn't entranced by the ladies who lunch thing.
No, I thought it was an odd combination. I'm not sure it was a combination that worked.
Yeah, and you just hear Stritch no matter who does that song. Though I'm looking forward to eventually seeing Patty's version in company.
Right. Oh, if we ever get to.
I love how Audra ended by saying, I messed up. I screwed up. It's like Audra screwing up is like not screwing up, basically. She doesn't miss a note.
Well, you mentioned Streep. Streep just kind of went for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, good for them for trying to do a different version. They were drinking up a storm. That's the way to do it. And the whole thing was a very loving tribute to the greatest songwriter in the history of musical theater.
Was that your highlight from the concert? Do you remember anybody else that you said, wow? Bernadette a cappella?
I would have played piano for her. I don't know what the problem was.
Yeah.
I always loved Linda Lavin. I loved her doing The Boy from da, 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 da. It's like a spoof
Right.
Boy from Ipanema.
Right.
And I don't remember any other highlights. I just kind of glaze over because I used to go to these things in person.
Sure, of course.
Special. And now everyone in the world, did you see Meryl Streep? It's like, it's lost its specialness, but I know the idea was to raise money and that it did.
Well, there's so many people who are raising money. I do have to say, I enjoy what Seth and James are doing for the Actors Fund because we are seeing some interesting guests and readings of plays, which I think has been fun. And other little theater companies, when they can get around the unions, are doing it. So,
I mean, the scary thing about this new adaptability to the internet is I think movie theaters are now cemented as having become obsolete because, as I'm sure you know, Universal, after the huge success online of Trolls World Tour, they've decided from now on we're going to show all our movies online and in theaters both. And AMC Theaters said, no go. We're never going to show your movies in result of this because you're breaking our deal. I think
first look, right?
Yeah, and I think yay for the theaters for being noble and standing up for their rights, but I think ultimately they're going to lose, and the studios are going to say, oh, screw it, we'll do a Netflix. We're just going to open everything online. And people are never going to leave the house, and they're never going to have to buy $20 popcorn, but they're also going to miss out on the communal experience of seeing a movie the way it should be seen, and it should be on a big screen.
And with an audience reacting with you, which I think is
what is watching a comedy alone? The fun of seeing a comedy is the group laughter or groaning or whatever the reaction, or a horror movie where everyone's like, ah.
Yeah, the one thing that I don't think has been working is when I see like the late shows or comedians trying to do stand-up in a vacuum. And I know that if you don't have that audience, the timing is just off, and it doesn't seem as funny if you don't hear anyone else laugh.
They should bring back the laugh track.
I am all for it.
Bring back fake applause.
How do you think we're going to come out of this? Because first off, I don't think it's going to come. We're coming out of it soon, and I think so many things are going to change.
It's going to be in phases, obviously, and the nightlife is the last phase to come back, I think, in New York City. Can I live without a drag show? I've seen a lot in my life. I can wait. And also, like I said, they're on Facebook Live. But yeah, it is with different values. It's with a sense of distrust, but also with a sense of humility. We've dropped all, we've lost everything. We've lost friends and loved ones. Many of us have lost jobs and our entire livelihood. I remember right after 9/11, New Yorkers on the street were like reaching out and holding each other, total strangers, and stopping and talking to each other because that wall had dropped. And New York is a place of incredible, exciting individuals where we were reaching out for connection, where in the past we had put up a bit of a pretense. I think the same thing will happen once we have the vaccine and we don't have to be afraid of contact anymore.
What do you think realistically about a timeline for Broadway?
Patty, I think, said that January it'll start again, and she said company has the backing to come back. Some of the shows are not going to come back. They were based on certain schedules of the actors. They were based on certain finances. A lot of the shows that were going to come are never going to surface, and that's really tragic. But I think starting next year, we're going to see a trickle back, and I don't know how they're going to do it. If a mother comes with her daughter to see Wicked, is the daughter going to be sitting 6 rows behind her?
Yeah.
Honey. I'll meet you in Penn Station after this. I mean, I don't know how they're going to do it.
I just read an article, I think it was last week, that where is it? Williamstown in Western Mass. Audra was going to do Streetcar. Is that right?
Yeah.
And now they're going to do their season as an Audible season.
Well,
I mean, which I guess it's better than nothing, but.
I was in a movie that was going to be in the SXSW festival. It's called I'm Gonna Make You Love Me, a documentary about a D-trans person named Brian Belovich. Now it's all the whole festival is being shown on Amazon Prime. And
Right.
so in the Times said, well, this isn't the same. It's like, hey, newsflash, this
Nothing.
is done. We can't show it in the festival. This is not a slight to the filmmakers. This is a way to get their work shown. So you make do. Yeah, an Audible version of Audra is better than nothing.
Yeah, and like you said, it is based on timing, and when all things come together, at least you recorded audio because you may not be able to get everyone together at another time.
Hey, she's always magical, so I'll take her.
I will too. I think one opportunity we missed was Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf has definitely canceled. Laurie Metcalf, Rupert Everett, and Russell Tovey. Who was the honey? Do you remember?
Patsy Farron.
Okay, and they've already said that won't happen.
Anybody straight in that show?
Yeah, no, it's the all gay version.
Okay, good. That's how it should be. In fact, Rupert Everett probably should have played Martha. And he had replaced Eddie Izzard, who dropped out.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, can I live without another Virginia Woolf? Yes, but do I want to live without another Virginia Woolf? No. That's how.
And I also think for certain actors, it is a one-time opportunity to play a role. Now, I think Laurie Metcalf can play the role in 10 years. I don't know if Rupert Everett will get another chance. So and Russell Tovey will age out of it.
Laurie Metcalf has become the queen of Broadway. I mean, everything she does is a home run.
And what is she doing next year? It's Death of a Salesman with Nathan?
Nathan Lane, yes.
So she's got projects backed up. Laurie Metcalf is always working.
They're going to do it as a slapstick comedy. It's going to be hilarious.
As a musical.
I can't try, Willie. I'm too busy laughing. No. Nathan Lane happens to be obviously a brilliant dramatic actor as well.
Oh, yeah.
And he was Terrence McNally's muse in many ways, so they had a falling out. Then they made up. And,
I think collaborative people like that, often it's a road that goes up and down. And if your emotions are that high, I don't know how it couldn't.
I need a muse. You got
right now. You amuse. That's all that.
Thank you. Yes, I'm an amuse bouche. And I had a lot of people that did inspire me along the way. Now that I'm sitting here just staring at the wall all day, I do think of the people.
Okay, well, speaking of someone who amuses both of us, who is at a we just did a lighting check beforehand, and she's like, "Now, how does the lighting look? Is it too stark? Like, am I in a hostage video?" She looks fabulous.
I want to say that she look gorgeous no matter what lighting.
That's what I said. Oh, she's crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say one story before I bring her on. Roslyn Kind, a lot of people will know her as Barbra Streisand's sister. I, of course, remember her because I first saw her and she knocked my socks off in a Provincetown cabaret. And I fell in love with the CD that she was selling. She didn't have any more. I gave her my information. I paid her for the CD and told her I needed it for a friend's birthday. She express mailed it to me, and the postage cost more than what I paid her for the CD. So I will never forget that.
I saw her at 54 Below. I even went back to my native Brooklyn to see her. She's always great in concert.
And here she is, Miss Roslyn Kind.
Hey guys!
Hey, Rosie.
Hello from the West Coast.
How are you? How are you handling all this?
You know what? For the first whole month, not bad, because Harlan's been keeping me busy. I've been doing phone interviews and Zoom interviews, which have been a lot of fun. And able to, talk about some topics of importance and then some fun topics. And so that's been keeping me busy. And I do a little meditation via Zoom also. One of my favorite teachers for meditation is in Berlin, so he's coming from Berlin. And then I have another place that I go here. So I'm doing that. I only went out for a walk once.
Really?
Yeah, last Sunday. My friend drove here in his car. We both had gloves and masks. I was in the gutter. He was on the sidewalk. And we walked on West 3rd Street up because there was nobody there. Yeah.
I know. So are you telling me Roslyn Kind was in the gutter?
In the gutter. I don't spend a lot of time there, but you know.
You make to sing, Roz? Do you regularly sing to keep in shape?
I hum a lot.
Jesus.
Right now I'm in the middle of doing a video, putting together a video for my last release, Light of Love, because I put that out without a video. So I'm doing that and thinking about the next songs because we just finished. Oh, I'm in the studio, I sing. So I just finished a song recording called Light of not Light of Love. Light of Love is released. Save the Country is released. The next one out, I think, is going to be an Isley Brothers cover, Harvest for the World.
Oh, wow.
The messages in this time and space.
Do you think that is what the time we're in now is? It is more about messaging rather than pure entertainment?
Well, you know what it is? I don't know how people take it, but my heart hurts when I see what's going on. And I wish people would just come together in good times and not have to wait for a catastrophe. You know, I do believe there's a big lesson in this, to learn to love unconditionally and accept people for who and what they are, not their color, not their size and shape, not whether they're gorgeous or they're not so gorgeous. Love their hearts. I wish we could all come together that way. And I'm on a mission for my little voice, whatever that holds, to try and do that. I want to help heal people on this planet and heal our planet. So, although I do have some real good Broadway ballads on
Yes, you do.
On the album, and the one that's going to be coming out.
You're like a Jewish Mahatma Gandhi.
Not a Jewish Buddha?
No, because we're not talking about size.
No fat shame.
Exactly. Michael, where did you meet Roz?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's when I went to Brooklyn, and I never go to Brooklyn because I'm from there.
Where in Brooklyn are you from, Michael, originally?
Bensonhurst.
Bensonhurst? We had relatives in Bensonhurst. We were in Flatbush.
Yeah, that's nearby. And Bensonhurst is a very traditional, old-school Italian-American residential neighborhood. At least it was when I grew up there. And realizing I was gay, I was like, I got to get out of here. Gay was not on the menu there. I went to Columbia and then eventually just moved to Manhattan. But then, of course, what happens, everyone says, all the action's happening in Brooklyn now. Brooklyn's fabulous all of a sudden. You have to go back.
It's so
Michael, let me ask you something, because didn't you come see me at like 88s and stuff? Didn't I meet you way before Brooklyn? And before
I've been actually stalking you.
Huh? I mean, I thought I met you a lot earlier when I was doing Three from Brooklyn and
yes. When I see your name, I'm there, and it's been many years of me trailing you. And have
you been trailing me, Michael? Just
not in a dangerous way. Not where you need to get a restraining order. Don't worry.
Well, Roz just mentioned Three from Brooklyn, which you did on Broadway, and it starred also one of my dear friends who's no longer with us, Miss Adrienne Tolsch.
Oh, I love her.
Is not with us?
No, she passed away a few years ago.
Oh, I didn't know.
But she was one of the great comedians.
She was fabulous.
How did that come around, Roz? Because that was, and I would think you would have been asked to do Broadway a million times.
You know, I haven't.
You would think,
right? You think? I mean, I've done Leader of the Pack in Canada. I did a show called Ferguson the Tailor that was supposed to go to Broadway, but
that was L.A., right?
You're right, at the Beverly Hills Playhouse. It was a work in progress, and we were hoping to bring it to Broadway. It was kind of like Sadie and Muttle come to. What is it? It wasn't Sadie. It was but my name was Sadie. Sadie, because he's a tailor in here too. And we come to America, so it starts opening where we're on the ship coming into getting our allowance into America.
Because you're very funny. I just think of you, even though you have this amazing voice, you have this very fun comedic presence. Whenever I've seen you, you tell very funny stories. You engage with the audience really personally, which I think comes from playing the cabaret venues, probably.
It probably also comes from genes. My mother was very funny. She never really realized it. But
Really?
Yeah, my friends tell stories about my mother all the time. because she would come out and say things like, I remember my friend Tony Chase. Remember Tony? May he rest in peace.
Sure, of course.
Anthony Niglio, when we first knew each other, we were both in high school and studied for the Regents exams, although he was in Queens and I was in Brooklyn. And we took our mothers to see Goodbye, Mr. Chips with Petula Clark and Peter O'Toole on Broadway. And it's hysterical. We come out of the movie, it's over, and his mother says, yeah, you think they would have noticed that rip in the corner of his hat, the graduation hat? Why would they have let him go on like that? And my mother, her big summary of the movie was, well, it just goes to show you, it pays to be good to your parents.
Did your mother have the kind of mean edge that I've heard about? That's kind of legendary.
A mean edge?
I think it kind of put you in your place.
Well, she
said it like it was.
Well, you know what? Yeah, I guess, she could be a little bit abrasive at times. Sometimes it was funny, but yeah,
It's humbling.
I have to tell you, there were certain things that would happen in my family that I didn't like, and I did not want to adopt those habits. I try to be peaceful. It takes a lot to get me to that point.
Roz, I have somebody here that wants to say hi, because one of the things I do on my show is I bring in surprise guests. So Roz, let's see if well, you're going to know who it is. I'm not going to bother bringing in just the voice. So you go back a long way with Michael Orland.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, Mikey.
I'm surprising you. I'm sitting at my piano in case you want to sing a song, but
let me explain to people. So Michael Orland, amazing pianist, accompanist. You've seen him on American Idol all the time. Somebody has a little feedback. There's a little feedback coming from the speakers. Whatever. I knew that Michael played for Roz. How long do you guys go back?
Oh, we go way
back, like 1986, 87. I think the first thing he really played for me was a private for the people who owned Sunset Magazine at their house.
At the time, I had just moved here and to LA. No, I think, but I was still I didn't have a piano at my place, and we rehearsed at Waylon Flowers' house.
That's right.
You remember that?
We did. We definitely did. He was away. He was working, and we did work at it. We used his piano.
Was Madame the Puppet there?
No, she was with Waylon. She had to work too,
Oh, hold on. Wait, now we don't have Michael. Hold on. There he is.
What'd you say?
We went into the garage after he left, and we put her on and took pictures.
Oh, you walked out with Madame.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
It's nice to see Michael too. I played piano for Michael at Birdland like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Really?
With Susie Mosier.
Yeah, I sang "Rock by Your Baby" without even realizing.
That's right.
I could come in and do that series.
Musto, what was the show that you did?
What is it?
I said I should come in and do that series that Susie does.
No, right. Michael Musto, what was the show that you did?
Susie Mosher does this sort of all-star review, and I thought, she asked me to do it, so it must be kind of low-level people like myself. I walk in, and it's Pat McPhee, American Idol. It's the other lady from American Idol who was booming out some talent, and I was like, holy.
Kimberly Locke.
Yeah. But we actually did a self-effacing cute thing, and it went over okay.
Michael Orland, your volume is a little loud, so I'm getting an echo. I don't know if you can do it.
Close your leg.
Yeah,
I knew you were gonna.
There's an old show joke.
Oh God, it's not old when Roz and I do it.
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
That was a pudgy joke.
That was a pudgy joke.
But so the song that Roz just released, tell them, Roz, because now Christine Petty texted me this morning, and she said The only thing that makes me happy right now is to watch old episodes of The Nanny. She said, I watched 6 of them this morning. She said, was that you playing piano with Roslyn on that episode that I just wet my pants? I said, that was it.
Yeah, and and that's the song I just released. Where we wrote the song. Michael did the music, and Judy Quay and I did the lyrics, and Stefan Oberhoff did an incredible arrangement.
And we first did it on The Nanny. I mean, well, we did it on a talk show, right? We do it on Geraldo.
We did it on Geraldo.
Remember Geraldo Rivera?
Yeah, I do.
I do.
When he was a Democrat.
Do you remember that when we got to the Rose Tattoo, when we came there and we announced the New Age show that we were going to try out material, the minute we taped Geraldo the month before, and then when we were going, we made the announcement, and we got back to LA, and the Rose Tattoo said their phones haven't stopped. They said, can't you hold her over? We can't get there. We live in Oshkosh. Can't you hold her over for more than those shows?
We had it,
we were just trying out the material. So all of it was New Age and positive messages of love. And so Light of Love was part of it, and so we Saved the Country.
See, it's so much like Musto and I. We're light and positivity.
You have to be, you know? You have to learn to laugh at yourself, too. You can't, you know.
We were evil, vicious queens for many years, but now we're mellowing a little bit.
Musto, did you know Michael Orland? Have you gone? Do you two go back, or was it just
no? But we did.
I was a big fan of his always, and always was reading him in in The Voice and everything. But I got to meet him for the first time when we worked together at Birdland, which was so fun.
Wow.
And I said, do not look at me, and you must call me Miss Musto.
And I followed the orders, and that's why he let me stay.
Well, there you go. It's all about keeping your accompanist in line.
That's right. Ron's been doing it with me for 30 years. Okay, maybe.
But I'm always in awe of people like Roslyn, Lorna Luft. These are like my favorite entertainers. I'm just.
Oh, this is so sweet, Michael.
I know that I can just sit there and.
Thank you. Will you promote our record? Will you promote our single? Because I'm.
Of course, we're going. We're all going.
Michael all the time. I can do just so much because I'm technologically challenged.
What's the name?
And yet you're doing this.
We have. See, I'm lucky. I have a lot of.
What?
I have a lot of young students who teach me about the social media and everything. So whenever I can give Roz a hot tip, I do, because she's always going, "How do I post this?" But we're getting better at it.
We're getting better, but slow. I mean, I think these messages, songs, which are enlightening, it's so important to go around the globe. I just,
Absolutely.
But Roz,
you have Facebook, Roz, right?
Oh, yes, Roz is on Facebook.
Facebook, and it's on my professional page for my fans, and it's on my private page, and whoever else I can get to spread it. Not enough. You can't put it on Instagram. It doesn't allow it.
Right.
So where do we go? But Michael, you have to post more about it. You have to maybe.
Okay, I will. I will
go to your page and I will share. I will share it. How about that?
Yeah.
Roz, let me show you a photo. I found this ad. I had recently done the final show I hosted at Studio One, the Backlot. Oh my God. Orland told me he had a call. Do you have to go, honey?
I'm so sorry I have to go, but I love you all. And Roz, I love you so much. And thank you for having me, Billy. I'm so happy to
Orland, we'll have you again. We're going to do a show about Idol, so we'll have you there for that.
Perfect. I'm not
Thank
afraid.
you, sweetie.
All right. Be
Thanks
good, you guys.
for coming, Mike.
Bye.
Bye.
That was just the first of many surprise guests. You never know who'll show up.
Oh.
So Rosie,
this is your life?
Yeah, it sort of is a little bit. Rosie, I found this ad. I had hosted the closing night of Studio One and the Backlot. And I know it was a place you performed a lot of times in LA. And I found this.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, you weren't with Michael Orland back then. Who was your pianist? I can't see. Jay Asher?
Jay Asher, yeah.
Okay. Who was that?
He's a piano player. He worked a lot with Paul Jabara and and Bob Esty. He did a lot of work with them. He's still out there. He's out here.
They would call
my musical directors. You have to. Not everybody's available all the time.
Yeah, of course.
It's so tough because when I get used to somebody and I know that I'm comfortable because they know where I'm going to breathe, then I feel relaxed.
Right, of course.
I'm like anxiety ridden until I know that.
Have you ever had a gig where the accompanist doesn't show up?
I had a gig where one of them got sick when we were in London. All of them passed out. Yeah, and my first night had to be canceled. And the owners of the green room wanted me to go on and do the whole show a cappella. I said, you know something? Number one, I'm worried about him. And number two, I'm not doing a whole show a cappella.
Right, thank you.
You're not either. Yeah.
But it made the news, you know. But I remember working in Jamaica, and the band there, I didn't have a musical director with me. I was going to use their people. My manager was with me at the time. And nobody showed up for the rehearsal for the night we were supposed to open. And the hotel couldn't find them. So I didn't open that night. Then the next day they came.
Better that they didn't. It was the band that didn't show up. I thought you were going to tell me the audience didn't show up.
This is a funny story because when they did show up, I had like a 12-hour rehearsal and they couldn't cut anything. The leader of the band played guitar. His wife played organ. Not piano, organ. And the only drum beat the drummer knew was reggae.
God does reggae.
And the horn player, and they would drop the music, and the wife is yelling out the chords to the husband on guitar. I got a 20-minute show out of that 12-hour rehearsal. I burst my chords because I was everything.
Tense, all tense.
Yeah. And I was walking out one night, and some lady said, "Boy, she didn't thank the band. That's not nice." And I heard the woman's response is, "Would you have?"
Did you make a recording of that show?
No. Who traveled with recording stuff?
I know, right?
I don't even still do that. I should, because I never have my shows. They're really good.
See, that's why drag queens have the right idea. They're just like, here's my backup tracks.
Right.
Press play, and I'm all set.
But then, of course, you can't be in the moment.
Stage, I guess. Yeah. I'm not comfortable with live tracks because I change how I sing something. So to be locked into the way it was done this particular time,
Yeah, I think there are some performers who really are used to that, and that's how they work, and they're in that straitjacket. And really, most who are used to interpreting a song, they need to be in the moment.
I definitely am a back phraser.
Yes,
so I could drive somebody who only knows to play on the beat crazy. And especially that's why if they know me and they know how I perform, they know where I'm going to breathe. It's no problem.
I love back phrasing. Diana Ross does that too. I want to ask you when you're on stage, because this has happened to me. Have you ever just blanked out, like, where the hell am I?
Oh yeah. Do you think anybody hasn't had that experience?
Of course.
And it's suddenly come up with, oh my God! Sometimes I've turned, I said, and then sometimes I've just made up lyrics till my head got where I was. And so I said, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And they said, nobody even realized it. Do you realize they don't know? And I think that everybody does know.
Well, in that moment, I think you think it's so magnified when it's really such a, I have been in plays where I'm like, oh, that was crazy. And then you look it back and it was like 20 seconds, but it felt like an hour.
Yeah.
That's why I tape everything. Every time I'm on TV, I watch it. So it's like, I wasn't that bad.
Because I think your recollection is it was so much worse.
Yeah. And Leslie Uggams has that famous thing. She was singing June is busting out all over, and the guy with the cue cards was falling in the mud because it was raining.
Oh,
yeah.
I made up a whole new language. I was like,
oh my gosh.
And what do you do?
What do you do? You know what? I've learned to make fun laugh at myself. I've learned to be calm about it. What are you going to do?
I think I noticed that.
It's human. It's human.
One of the things I love about your shows is you have that affable quality. You're playing with the moment. You're self-effacing. You're laughing with the audience. That's an important thing. Johnny Carson had that too.
Yeah. I love that. And I love to look at my audience. I love to see the eyes.
And talk to them. I mean, not
at them, but make them part of me, make them part of the show, and to make them feel they all come. They feel like they're in my living room. Do you know that the concert in Brooklyn? There was this lovely little old gentleman who came up to me when I was signing autographs, and he said to me, "Excuse me, can I give you a hug?" And I said, "But of course." So he gave me this big, tight bear hug, and then he says, "Oh, who needs a doctor when we have you?"
See, there you go.
What a great compliment. I mean,
we're going to get through this because of you.
We're going to get through everything. I would just want everybody to come from their heart, come from that light that's in that heart that God created in us, and use it for the right reasons in the right way. Wouldn't it be a better world?
I don't know. Michael, what do you think?
Enough with the greed.
Now is love, sweet love. I do believe in something, and I do hope. Yeah, I think people can be the cure to a lot of things.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I think so, and I think also doing things like this, talking and sort of people watching and saying, oh, look at these guys are kind of creating a normal. We're hanging out, we're chatting like we would if we were in person. And I think it inspires other people to do things like this.
Yeah, but I just want people to come together. I don't like what's going on, separating the country, separating the people. I want people to learn to accept. I mean, growing up in Brooklyn, Michael, it was such a melting pot. And we had churches and all kinds of churches, and my temple was there. I grew up, my sister worked in the Chinese restaurant. They were our neighbors. They babysat, they went to school with me. We were a community. We were, what they call it, a project. And all the older parents would come in the summer and sit. They would line up their chairs and kibitz on the side, and they would all watch his children.
We did that.
Really a neighborhood. I could go to the store for my mother and never cross the street.
Right.
You know, I mean, it was just it was different. There was such an innocence, and I really feel for the kids today who can't. That's not what it is today, so they can't experience that kind of.
I think it depends where you live too, because there are even parts, Michael will know, in New York where it will feel like a little neighborhood. You may know the people on your block, say sections of the village or wherever.
I feel like sometimes I'm the mayor of Manhattan because I know everybody. It's like Mayberry. It really is a small town. But I want to ask you, Roz, did you go for Chinese every Sunday?
I think so.
Every stereotype.
Okay. Well, Sunday breakfast was lox and bagels, you know,
of course,
from this appetizing store. Friday night was Shabbat, so it was chicken soup, whatever. And of course, Sunday and on Christmas and all those holidays, we were in the Chinese restaurant.
Of course.
Combination.
Of course. But remember the difference in price?
Oh, yeah. Well, you could feed a family.
You could feed a family for a couple of bucks.
Yeah. And for a couple days.
Yeah. Unbelievable when I think of it.
The big moment of my childhood, my aunt, the nun, took me to see The Sound of Music, the movie. And the cashier said, oh, you get in free because you're a nun and it's a nun movie. There's a law.
Not a rule.
Wow. Radio City Music Hall was 99 cents before 5 o'clock.
Really?
And then $1.25.
Lifestyle. I was like, I want to be on the guest list for the rest of my life. And I love the movie Sound of Music. It's fun to head around. From the second Julie Andrews was spinning around the Alps, I knew this is my world. Take me there.
And you ended up being really a part of the entertainment business.
Yeah.
From the outskirts.
Well, but I think that there is a symbiotic relationship between performers and the press. And I think that both really need each other to survive.
I think so, especially if they're nice people that come from the heart.
Well, and also if they ask, and if they also.
I was always a harsh critic, but then someone said to me, you really should show your appreciation. You wouldn't be covering celebrities if you didn't love them. And I was like, that's a really good point. It doesn't weaken you if you show the fact that you adore these people and what they do. And I learned to do that more.
My feeling is that nobody needs a big ego. Just be you. You know, we all have value. We all have a contribution to make to life. We have to earn our way back to that light with universal unconditional love. Why can't we do it in good times, not wait for a catastrophe to bring us together? And then you wonder, how long will this feeling last after the catastrophe?
Well, I remember Michael had mentioned 9/11, and I was supposed to fly out to LA on that day, and I didn't. So when flights started going, the very first day that you could fly, I flew from Boston to Los Angeles, and the airport was so packed, and yet you could hear a pin drop, and people were so nice. They were saying, "Excuse me, after you, let me help you." And I said, "Let's see how long this lasts." And it was about a month, Michael.
Yeah.
Yes, for a month.
As usual.
You know, I find even when I'm on the phone doing, you know, like with somebody representing a company that I want to order from, I sometimes get into a real long conversation with them just on, you know, about anything. What does it take for people just to be human?
No, it doesn't take anything.
Why are people afraid of people who have more money or who have a certain amount of fame? Why? Why does that exist?
Well, again, I think people are so self-involved. They don't think about it maliciously. They just don't bother.
Well, they need to start bothering. We need to start bothering. You have to care about the next guy like you want to be cared about. And the bottom line is we all need and we all want the same things out of life. And everybody should have that chance and that opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think you have to really think, if you're going to be self-absorbed, also think, how do you want to be treated?
Mm-hmm. But and realize that you need to do that for the next person. You need to give that back. What you would expect for you, you need to be.
Right, exactly. Because if you aren't that, you're not going to get it.
No.
Michael, first, I've kept you long. I'm sorry, but I want to say I love having Michael Musto here. Michael, I have other guests, but I want to say thank you for doing the show.
Thank you, Billy. Roz, it's great to see you.
Michael, great to see you too.
Have a wonderful
time I'm in New York, let's have a coffee or something.
A nosh. Have a nosh.
A nosh.
Michael, where are you writing right now?
Right now, my poems are appearing on newnownnext.com.
Okay.
A site, and I'm everywhere. I'm like crabgrass.
As far as I'm concerned, you're still one of the best. Nobody does it better, and you do the best blind items. Mine are crap. Yours are the best.
What is a blind item?
It's when you tell a story without giving the name of the person, but you give clues so they can figure it out.
Okay.
It's now something about Stevie Wonder.
Uh-huh.
On that note,
Michael, I love you. Thank you so much, Michael.
Have a good day, sweetheart.